Dear colleagues, welcome back to the plenary session. I hope all of you had really fruitful discussions in your discussion groups. And now I would like to invite the co-chairs, rapporteurs, to briefly present the main conclusions from the parallel sessions. And please be informed that this session also will be live streamed. And let me first invite the co-chair of the first session, Dr. Laszlo Odrobina from Hungary, to take the floor. Please.
Thank you, Minister. The answers of our session to the questions put were as follows. Regarding good strategic partnership, it cannot be established by law, but it has to be based on mutual interest and benefits. Examples from Latvia include the bottom-up policy approach to introduce dual VET with the voluntary cooperation of schools, employers, and local governments. Innovation means flexibility, but ourselves as well, we also have to be flexible and think out of the box and find new solutions and be proactive in meeting the needs of new technologies. As regards attractiveness, parity of esteem was stressed by everybody. Flexible and permeable pathways are key in achieving a high-esteemed VET system. To open the door to higher education is particularly important to guarantee equal esteem. Good quality of information should be provided by schools to parents, and there shouldn't be big distinction between general and vocational subjects and certificates. A good basic education is equally important to avoid negative selection process which characterizes VET tracking in many countries. Salaries equal to that of higher education graduates and good recognition of skills could also contribute to raise the attractiveness of VET. As for funding, participants agreed that the available European funds are a sufficient tool to achieve these goals. Commissioner Thyssen announced the call for proposal to support the involvement of SMEs in work-based learning this autumn. Regarding the convergence of VET content, it was agreed that it should only happen on a voluntary basis by the own initiative and common interests of member states. Cross-border cooperation and between clusters of countries would be a good testing for creating common VET content. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite the co-chair of the second group, Ms. Aida Hadzialik.
Thank you, President. Colleagues, let me start by saying something about the analysis which we made as the start of our discussion. First of all, we established that VET is an important part of our competitiveness, as was mentioned before. We said that Europe has to compete by manufacturing the best goods and providing the best services, and that's where this education comes in as key in that analysis. And in order to really address this issue fully, we need to not only view VET as something for upper secondary education, but truly view this as a lifelong learning process where students, younger students, need to be given this opportunity, but also adults all through their life in order to meet the needs of the individual, but of course also of our common economy. The first challenge which we addressed in our group was that vocational education needs to become more attractive. This is a challenge we're sharing in most of our countries, where these programs are in most cases, unfortunately, viewed as the second-hand options, whereas these should be first-hand options. And in Sweden, for instance, we've seen a decrease in the demand for vocational education, mostly because there's almost a stigmatized image of these programs. And if that's the case, then it's not that strange if students choose not to occupy themselves with that kind of education. In order to strengthen the attractiveness, we need to enhance the partnerships with our friends within the business, the labor market. It's also been discussed here previously, but it's quite important to emphasize that public-corporate cooperation in this sense is not only about creating a bridge when it comes to apprenticeship, which is very important in itself, but it's important to view this cooperation in a broader sense. The workplace learning must be developed beyond only an apprenticeship model, which is successful in quite many countries, but other contexts and other economies also demand other solutions. And that broader sense of addressing this issue is also about giving these skills and education which actually mirror what the markets want, and therefore it's important to make sure that the stakeholders have a say about how education is developed. Important to say is also that we believe in public funding, and in this case, a couple of colleagues around the table mentioned the problem of brain drain connected to this. Another aspect mentioned as important to attractiveness was the accessibility to higher education for students who go through VET. Currently, there are too many dead ends, and that also kills the attractiveness of these programs. Thirdly, creativity, entrepreneurship also needs to be involved in creating the future VET schooling. We can only view these students as a labor force performing manual skills. We have to understand that students participating in this kind of education also need to know what creativity is all about, and we need to foster innovation in this sense. And perhaps we should reflect upon how modern languages are involved when it comes to these education, all in order to make them more competitive but also attractive for both students but also adults out there. And last of all, our group said that cooperation is good. We should develop the tools which we have. However, we do not believe in further harmonization and convergence of reforms right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now the floor to the third group, and Ms. Cornelia Kenneth Thailand from Germany, please.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, in our group, the priority of discussions was, about identifying emerging fields in the labor market and in VET systems. A second issue was, the skills mismatch, which we can lead back to sometimes also limited attractiveness of VET. A strong part of our discussion was about how to increase attractiveness of VET in several areas. And the third one was about the future of the Copenhagen process and the question of closer cooperation in the European Union. Let me first come to attractiveness. Very clearly, VET is covering a very broad range, and we have to be careful not to highlight it mainly as a second chance for the low-skilled that don't make it in other areas. Clearly, the inclusion of lowly skilled people is important, and VET can contribute to that. But at the same time, and that is certainly true, for example, in my country, VET is also providing very high qualifications and qualifications that the labor market needs. So what can increase attractiveness? I think there are several areas that need to be addressed. Better guidance about the possibilities of VET. And that guidance needs to help not only the young people in their choices, but it also needs to reach parents who play a very important role in the decision of young people for which line to take. We also discussed about increasing permeability between VET and higher education, because if VET is not just a dead end, but opens up for those who aspire for more to also, for example, enter higher education at a later stage, that certainly will help. Very clearly, it was identified that we need much better cooperation between education and the labor market and employers. In a lot of countries, that is still a great challenge because employers see education as a business of the government, of the state side, and to find instruments that that promote the cooperation between state and industry is highly needed in many places. And the question is, what could the European Union, what could the Commission and our cooperation add to that? We were discussing about, well, a holistic approach towards that vis-a-vis a more modularized approach. I think there was quite a broad convergence that we need a focus on qualifications and competencies and not just on narrow skills for specific jobs if we want to have successful VET systems in our countries. With regard to the skills mismatch, well, anticipation of needs in the labor market vis-a-vis to VET was seen as an important need, which will also require strengthened research, a point that our CEDEFOP director highlighted strongly, and I think instruments should be developed. Again, here, guidance and interaction between education and employers is highly needed. Also, we need to see more innovation in the VET systems. For example, hybrid qualifications that are at the very high end of the VET system, something that is being developed now, for example, in my country. More standardized, more sometimes centralized or common sets of guidance were mentioned in that regard as well. Last point, deepening the EU VET cooperation. Very clearly, I think no one was striving for harmonization, but closer cooperation was seen as very helpful, not to reach one by one formal recognitions. I think that is something that will not work or will take decades to happen, but efforts to find common language to describe what is the content of our vet systems and the qualifications that we get there. Therefore, the initiative by the Commission to push forward with the ESCO system, trying to develop common language to describe learning outcomes, developing minimum quality standards between ourselves is something that found support, and we'd like to encourage the Commission to engage in discussions and close exchange with Member States. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the chairs and co-chairs for being very, very active and dedicated to this work, and to each of you for taking part in this very, very timely discussion on the importance of vocational education and training, keeping Europe competitive. And let us now look at another important achievement, the Riga Conclusions, the result of our joint efforts to focus and reaffirm our commitment in raising the overall quality and the status of VET in the context of the Copenhagen process. The Riga Conclusions have been developed within many stages, involving various stakeholders, and set 5 medium-term deliverables in the field of VET for the period 2015-2020. As a result of the review of short-term deliverables defined in the 2010 Bruges communique. Along with that, I am particularly pleased to see the commitment demonstrated by the ministers to implement political actions in order to achieve these deliverables. The final version of the document has been distributed to all of you, and based on the overall agreement reached during the meeting of the Directors General for Vocational Education and Training on 21st of June, please be informed that no signing or voting will take place. And now I would like to invite those countries and social partners that want to orally express their support, and to do so with a very short statement. So may I, would somebody would like to intervene here? Vai tu redzi kādu? Aha, please, Norway, please.
Thank you. I guess my 1 hour speech is out of the question now, so I'll make this short. From the Norwegian side, we're very happy to sign this pledge, and I'm very happy also that VET is at the center now, in many ways, of so many European questions. And I just want to emphasize 2 things. I think that, first of all, I think that the part of our VET system in Norway that's successful is not just based, I like the term social partners, but I would go even further and say that a large part of what is functioning, we do also have a lot of challenges, of course, but what is functioning is due to a genuine co-ownership between the political side and the employers and the employees. And I think that's very important to emphasize. The second point I want to emphasize is how to follow this up. And I'm very concerned with not just the quality of VET, but also the quality of our apprenticeship programs and also the availability of our apprenticeship programs. And just to mention one initiative that we've taken in Norway, and I think other European countries, some are working with the same, is that the state and the public sector, of course, is a huge buyer of services, building projects of all kinds. We've now introduced legislation to make sure that when, for example, we build a new public building, whether it's in local or central authorities, we are together with and aligned with the business community. We're now demanding that the businesses who are awarded the contracts are also apprenticeship businesses. I think that's just a small way of following up so that we can demand that they participate in the apprenticeship program, and this has been also very popular in Norway on the employer side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like? Please, the European Trade Union Confederation.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I won't repeat what I have already said in my declaration at the beginning of this morning. I would like only to emphasize two aspects that are really positive from our perspective. On the one side, that after long work on this paper and also after considering the contents and also the concrete achievements of the previous communiques and different papers we have agreed in the past concerning this topic, we can see and say very clearly that in this new paper, in these new conclusions, there is an incredible and very interesting streamlining of the possible concrete deliverables. This is a very important issue because, you know, what is really challenging is how to implement the policy. We can discuss for hours concerning what we should do and how we could analyze the situation, but then the point is if we can really set a series of concrete actions that we can put in place together to achieve concrete results. And we think that this paper, these conclusions that we are going to endorse are really going in this direction. And the second element is, as the minister from Norway said, co-ownership, not even only cooperation and coordination between the public authorities, the Commission, the member states, the social partners, the other stakeholders, but co-ownership is really a fundamental concept because it means that we all are committed to deliver, and it will be also a challenge for us from the European perspective as social partners to ensure that our members in the different countries will be involved together with the member states to try to deliver these objectives in the near future. So thank you very much for all the efforts that have been put in place by all of us, and we are really looking forward to see what we can really do and deliver together for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Business Europe, please.
Thank you very much. As Business Europe, we would like to thank the Latvian presidency for the work that they have done in the last 6 months to bring together what we are adopting today on the Riga Conclusions. As Business Europe, we have been involved, like the other social partners, in the drafting and preparation of the Riga Conclusions, notably through the Advisory Committee for Vocational, Educational and Training. This has been a very constructive approach. For Business Europe, we believe that this is particularly important to better align education and training systems with the needs of the labor market in order to help meet companies' skills need and to strengthen employability. This is relevant for aspects of initial bet and continuous bet. Therefore, we broadly welcome to the fine medium-term deliverables that are presented today and which set the focus for European Union level cooperation in VET between now and 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now the floor is to the European Association of Crafts, Small and Medium-Sized.
Thank you, Madam Minister. As UAPME, as representative of UAPME, I can only echo what my two colleagues from Business Europe and ETUC said already. As European social partners, we also have been closely involved in the preparatory work, and we would like to thank the Latvian presidency of the excellency of the work done together, and also ready to hear the various comments made in the DGVT as well and in the ACVT. As UAPME, we fully endorse this Riga conclusion, and we particularly support the focused midterm deliverable for the next 5 years, and we take the commitment to contribute to the implementation not only at European level but with the strong support of our national members. Thank you very much.
Okay. Please.
Thank you, Chair, for giving the word. I just want to stress concerning our delegation what we discuss in a second group, and where the Swedish co-chair just very slightly mentioned when we should be afraid about the investments in VAT programs, because these investments usually come from the states or from the employers, yeah. And what we faced after this increasing of the employability and increasing of the professional skills, afterwards we lose these professionals due to the donating to the other countries, and this is a risk factor what we should take in account. Yeah, and I want to support the third group, German colleague, when she said the cooperation and harmonization in this field is a very, very important, because we, as a social partners on a European level, we also raise the same question, not only for the healthcare field, but also for the education and other professions. We just should take in account.
Okay, dear colleagues, thank you very much for your support. And now I am very proud to declare that the Riga conclusions are endorsed. Really sincere thanks to everybody. And dear colleagues, VAT implementation would not be possible without another very important element, the VAT providers. The associations of the different VAT providers have prepared their declaration on support for the Riga conclusions, and I am delighted to invite Ms. Margarita Segard from the European Association of Institutes for Vocational Training to present their declaration. And for your information, the text is distributed, and I hope you found it. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You were saying that you are proud, and I can say that we are even more proud than you, because it's a pleasure for us to achieve this moment, and it was a very hard work. We were involved in this hard work, and we were very encouraged by our colleagues from DG Employment, and they were really very supportive. And I know that I only have 8 minutes. I will do my best. Of course, I will not read the declaration. Declaration is there, our joint declaration, but I will just share some words with you, because once we understand why we are here and who is these 6 associations, you can understand very easy and go to the bottom of the page and understand our suggestions for contribution. So this is a declaration of 6 European associations. We work together in many domains. Historical, we are created differently, but we represent all the VET, all the vocational training. It doesn't matter if it's IVET, CVET, public one, private, for youngsters, for adult, for long-term unemployed, for disadvantaged target group. We represent VET mechanisms as a way for a solution, not the dead end itself, and we are very happy that VET is in the center of all dialogues at European level and also at the national level. But in another hand, we know that it's another problem, because VET, as you know, it's a daughter and son of a lot of mothers and fathers. VET is in school, it's in universities, it's in polytechnics, it's in companies, it's in social partners, it's in training centers, and that's why it's very important that these associations exist, and we work together with you at European level and at national level. And it's a little bit our message here. So we the associations, we are very proud and we are very committed to go further and to transform these 5 deliverables, which somebody said and very well, with very, very concrete ideas, which are on the annex, and we must follow. But in another hand, we know that we have 28 countries. The maturity of their engagement and their national programs, it's absolutely different. And in one hand, we have already, for instance, take the example of work-based learning, quite mature, they are re-evaluating, they are re-engineering. In another countries, it's from ground zero almost. So, and this is what we want to do, to transform as living forces, because we are on these associations, but we are also managers in training centers. So we know the reality, daily reality, and we want to transform very good best practice that we are used to share in this conference, in these moments, into national systems, into national deliverables, which is very important from a bottom-up approach, but we cannot do it without very solid partnership, and this is the main goal. So all these deliverables are not possible without partnerships between all the stakeholders. Business, it's not only social partnerships, it's business partnerships, and share costs and share responsibility, not ownership, but share responsibility. It's really important to go further to modernizing VET, and modernizing means to give them more attractiveness, more prestige. It's very important. It's not a second chance. It must be there on the table. And it's very important to put innovation. Innovation, it's not for research training centers. We are doing innovation, and thanks to European projects, we are encouraged to do innovation, but take a look at the national level. So the new programs are there, they were approved, and most of them, innovation, it's not there, it's not a criteria. Working on partnership, it's not a formal thing. We don't have space to do a lot of things concerning these deliverables. For instance, training of trainers, it's not there. Work-based learning is there in some countries, some small programs more focused on apprenticeship alliance, but it's not the only way of doing work-based learning. So, and it's the right moment to transform policies into actions, into concrete actions, into concrete deliverables and results at the national level. And this is the right moment to go further. And we need the support of our national delegates, of our responsible of our own countries, because a lot of programs were approved and they are there till 2020. And some of these criteria are not there at operational level, and this is very important. And that comes to the other suggestion that we VET providers do as an expert, as a VET expert, as a companion on this fight and this strong fight. Some of us have worked in the government as well, so we know quite well the constraints. The second challenge is count on us for testing and for monitoring and for spreading the message at the national level, for spreading your message, the European message, and for spreading the message and roundtables, dialogues. But we need you. We need also the European Commission to go there and to share this message with us and with all stakeholders. You cannot imagine the impact we had a couple of weeks in Portugal. Some colleague from the European Commission went there. You cannot imagine the impact was so much stronger than to read 10 documents, to spread it and to organize national something. It was really important. Go there, go there. Put more efforts on influence. I had a very interesting, okay, I forget. But this is a little bit our so the question is not only what Commission and national authorities can do for you and for VET. The question is also what we can do for the national authorities, what we can do for the Commission, and what we can do for our national, our VET, our global VET, and to transform it into excellence VET with international qualifications, with innovations, with partnerships, but we need to test it, and to monitoring is very important. So this is a little bit, I had a lot of pages to go on. I will skip, but the main message is count on us. We are not observers. We are not observers. We went to a very interesting city tour for the last hour. I hope in the future we'll stay on this table and we'll discuss with you, because we learn a lot, and for us it's really important. So, but it was very nice. Thank you. So we really thank to you. So we are active ground forces, and we know problems, and we live these problems we take back home, because it's our daily life. We are there working. So count on us for helping you, and we are counting on you for the same goal. So VET providers, we put our skin on the game. And this is what we are doing here, and thanks to you and thanks to your efforts, I think the nearest future will be quite promising, and our members, and we represent the 28 countries, and also outside Europe. So the countries outside Europe are learning with us, are learning with Europe, are learning with European support, and that's why a lot of members are asking us to become, okay, 8 minutes are gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your support, and really thank you for pointing towards the problems, because the achievements of today is really thanks to the problems. Michael Fullan, in one of his books, The New Meaning of Educational Change, have written, like probably 10 years ago, that if there are no problems, probably nothing important happens. So we are very lucky and going forward. And I'm very, very sure what question I am going to have during the press conference. One of them will be, so what in it for Latvia? And I am very sure that all of you, when you go back to your countries, will receive very similar question. I know my answers. We have very concrete steps where we are going and what we are going to do with the conclusions of today. And I wish to all of you have very concrete steps in your minds to forward to your local people, to your colleagues in ministries and associations, and really not to stay only on nice vision level, but to go forward. And to conclude, I would like to give floor for the Commissioner for short reflection about morning session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, and I would like to thank also all the participants for their interesting and valuable input. Participants, representatives from governments, from social partners, and from key organizations. I draw 3 main conclusions from our reflections, and those are: first, in order to overcome skill gaps and mismatches, we must better understand labor market needs and trends, so that education and training providers at all levels, from school to university, can adapt their programs accordingly. We can only do this by having better quality information at regional and local levels, and a stronger engagement from employers is necessary there. A second conclusion: VET systems are well placed to respond quickly to emerging trends, but they need to be held in high esteem. VET needs to be a first choice, not a second option. We can't repeat it enough, I think. VET needs to be on a par with academic programs, different but equally valued. When asked, would you send your children to university or to a VET college, this needs to be a real choice with no dead ends. About also VET must open pathways to higher education. Accessibility to higher education is of high importance, as have been said here many times. And my third conclusion, Madam Chair, is that apprenticeships, that we all recognize that apprenticeships have a proven success as a springboard to quality employment for young people. We need closer cooperation between the worlds of work and education to ensure good quality and relevant education. And we need many more apprenticeship places to give young people that chance. I am particularly happy that we will come back to this theme this afternoon to boost the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. And I also want to use this opportunity, if you allow me to call upon you to move ahead. Exchange of good practice or learning from each other is valuable. But the question is this enough? Does it address the challenge VAT is confronted with? Does it address sufficiently the European dimension, such as mobility? Shouldn't we think of stepping up our cooperation, and shouldn't we actively pursue increasing transparency so that a de facto recognition becomes a trustworthy option? I hope to have the opportunities to continue to discuss these matters with the education and with the VET ministers. And to finalize, Madam Chair, I welcome the Riga Conclusions, among others, because they deliver on qualitative work-based learning. And I look forward to the apprenticeship pledges this afternoon, showing real progress on the ground. So many people here present participating in this interesting meeting this morning said it. It's not only about words, it's about action. So the Riga Conclusions will help us to start and to continue with the right action. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. And we are close to the ending of this morning session, and really the most valuable resource of the Europe are our people, are our children. And first thing what we have to do is perceive every child as somebody who deserves successful future, successful professional future, and also happy life. And I'm very sure that vocational education is one pathway of the same importance and the same value as all other pathways. And this is probably the message what we have to keep in mind every time when we think about processes, plans, conclusions, and a lot of papers what we have, especially in our ministries, about the children to whom we are going to make all those hopefully beneficial processes. And I would like to give some practical information before we leave for a lunch. So lunch for the heads of delegations is served in the hall Jura on the first floor. Buffet lunch for delegates is served in the restaurant on the first floor. But before the lunch, heads of delegation are kindly invited to gather for the family photo in the atrium on the first floor. And after the lunch, we will continue at 2:30 in the hall Ziedonis on the first floor with the boosting of the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. And I hope if you'll lost in this building, the people will help to find your way to the right place. And my thanks to all interpreters what we had around here. Thank you very much.